Hey guys, it is Carl Brown for GuitarLessons365.com. Got a fun one today, kind of celebrating the recent 75th birthday of Paul McCartney by taking a look at one of his greatest solo tracks, Band on the Run. So I'm going to break down most of the guitar parts here. I'm not going to do the slide stuff, there's a lot of it in there, and it's in a different tuning. If you guys really want to see it, I will do it, but in a separate video, but it's a great song without having to do all this really cool stuff. So I'm going to switch to acoustic halfway through it, as the song does, but we're going to start here with this intro. We're in standard tuning here, and I'm going to start with this. And I'm kind of adding the little synth parts in there, and then jumping up and grabbing the guitar parts. So it makes it a little bit more difficult to play because you got to jump around a lot. But if you don't have a synth guy on the keys, you'll need this. So anyway, let's start here with this intro lick. We're going to do a double stop across the 10th fret of the B and the high E string, and do a quick hammer on the same two strings at the 12th fret. Back to the 10 and slide down. And then do the same thing at the 5th fret, hammering on the 7s. And then slide down to a D major 7th chord, which is the open D string, and then the 2nd fret across the high E, B, and the G. So we have this. And then we're going to go up and grab this little synth part. So that right there is the open D, the 6th fret on the G, and the 5th fret barred across the B and the high E string. And just do a slow trill while you're holding that chord. It's a good little exercise there. You're just hammering on the 7th fret there and pulling back off to the 5th fret on the high E. Then you got to jump up here. Now this, you're going to do a quick double stop here across the 15th fret of the B and the high E. Slide down to 14, and then 10, 12. Still double stops. Now when you get to this one, you might want to add the harmony down there underneath it, which is just kind of add the open G and D. He doesn't do that on recording, but it sounds better with like a solo guitar guy doing it. Then you come down here and do the other synth line. There's going to be a bar at the 3rd fret on the B and the high E string, 4th fret on the G, and then the 5th fret on the D. You do that, kind of hammer back and forth between 3 and 5 in the high E while you hold it. Just repeat the same thing. Then jump up. All right, now if you do that twice, we go to a new part. So that's just picking the two 15s across the B and the high E, and then picking 14s and pull off to the 12 on the B and the high E. So down to 10. Then pick that again. Now 11 on the B and 12 on the high E, and then back to the 15s. You can play that with your 3rd finger if you want. So this. And repeat. All right, then the first verse actually comes in this intro at least. It's at the 38-second mark, and it's pretty much using, without having all the little guitar fills. All right, so that is that same D major 7th chord into that same part that we played that mimicked the keyboard. And then I'm going to it's a G major 6 chord. So I'm going to be playing that by playing the G, the 3rd fret there on the low E, muting the A string with the bottom of that finger, and then the rest of the strings open. And then that same synth figure down here on the G. Repeat that. And then the rest of this verse, before the main guitar riff there, is just that D major 7th chord into a G minor, done 3 times. So that G minor is a bar at the 3rd fret, and you're going to be playing the 5th fret on the A and the D. So go back and forth between those 2 chords 3 times. All right, now we have kind of the very big guitar riff here for another verse at the 1 minute and 19 second mark. Now this riff sounds like this. You kind of start that over. So now this is based off kind of just these 2 middle strings. Hold the 2nd fret there on the D string, and then the 5th fret there on the G. So that's where the melody's happening. I'll show you the other stuff going on with it in a second. So we have 2 there on the D string, 5 on the G. Then move that 5th fret down to 4, and then down to 2. So you can just do it with a bar, holding still the 2 on the D string down, and the 2 on the G is now the melody note. Now you're going to be doing that while kind of really keeping a muted open A string going. So now live currently they play. You'll see them add some notes that they might kind of do a little bit, very lightly on the actual recording. But let me show it to you without that first. Then you're open, still have the open A, and you're going to take that same chord shape and move it to the 4th fret. Strum it a few more times. And then what you're going to do is pick up your 1st finger and slide your pinky down to the 4th fret. So now the same 2 strings is the open D and the 4th fret on the G. So we have this. And start over. And then you kind of go back to this shape a little early. Kind of go through the notes quicker. So all together. And then he holds an A power chord at the end of it, and just pick across it from the G, A, then the D, and then there's a quick 0-3 on the low E string, and then put a slight bend onto that 3. So like this. Start over. Now, if you wanted to add those little transition notes, you can, like I see them do sometimes live. You hit that 3rd fret real lightly on the A string, and then have the open A and D string, and then jump into that upper chord shape. And then hit the 3rd fret on the low E string, coming back into the thing. So it's just something if you want to add. So at the end of that riff, when he starts singing, he plays through it, and then he just and then goes does that melody again at the very end. So it's the same thing. You'll just hear that little part repeat again, and then he goes into that little transition riff, which happens at the 2-minute and 6-second mark, and it sounds like this. That takes us to the acoustic part. So now that is, now you can hammer this if you want, but it's 3-5 on the low E string, and then play 3 on the A, 5, slide with 7, over to 5 on the D. Now you're going to play a D major chord. You can play it with just, I like to play it with my pinky there, but you can play with your third finger, which is at the 7th fret on the D, G, and the B string, with the 5th fret there on the A. Play that twice, and then take it down 2 frets to the C major. Hit that once. So you've done that twice there, and then we have this. So we're going to play 3-5 on the low E, over to 3 on the A, stop there, and go back to 3-5 in the low E. You hold that note a little longer. And then that takes you into the first chord of the acoustic section at the 2-minute and 15-second mark. So let me grab an acoustic for you, and we'll continue. Alright, so now we are to the acoustic section, which starts at, let me see here, the 2-minute and 15-second mark. Alright, so we're going to start with this little transition between a couple of chords, which are used a lot during the verse anyway, so it's a good to know. So we're going to start here with just a C major chord. And then what we're going to do is we're going to just take that C and move your middle finger here to the 2nd fret there on the G string. And then you're going to play the 3rd fret there on the D string with your pinky. So you still have the top string open. So we have this from the C, and then just move those 2 fingers. So it's a straight, most of the song is just a, an 8th note feel strong. And when it goes to the F, which is actually an F major 7th chord, it just kind of strums down, up, down, up. So as long as you have that 8th note feel, you're going to be fine. So go back and forth between those 2 chords twice. And then we start the actual verse, so the vocals come in. So it sounds like this. Alright, so that takes us to the pre-chorus. So it's just going back and forth between those 2 chords again. So we start with just the C to the F major 7th. Now this, you're going to keep holding it twice as long, then back to C. So really it's a 4 measures there, but it's C, then F major 7, F major 7, C. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Again. So this second time, instead of going back to the C, it goes to an E minor chord. So you can think of it like C, F major 7, F major 7, C. Then you can repeat that, except this time still starts with a C, still does the F major 7 twice, 2 measures, and then instead of going back to the C, it goes to an E minor chord. All right, from there we have the pre-chorus. All right, so that's going to start up here with a G chord to a C. This is at, by the way, the pre-chorus is at the 2-minute and 38-second mark. Then we have the E minor, a quick change to C, and then resolve it to an A minor. So we have this. All right, from there we're going to go to back to that F major 7th chord and resolve it to the C, and then back to the F major, just 1, 2, 3. All right, so that's the pre-chorus. It's a little bit more involved than the actual chorus. Then the chorus comes and it just rotates between that C and F major 7. All right, so from there, we're going to go to a little transition part here, a new section that you'll see at the 3-minute and 47-second mark. So, I mean, we go back through the verses, and when you go through the verse, pre-chorus, chorus, it stays the same. We have this transition thing that happens at 3-minute and 47 seconds, and it looks like this. All right, so that's just an E minor chord once, G once, to C. And then you're going to go through those again, but this time it's going to go E minor, C, A minor, just like that happens in the pre-chorus. So we have this. And then you keep continuing with the ending of the pre-chorus after that A minor. That F major 7 to C, and 3 hits on that F major 7, and then he goes into the chorus again. Start in the chorus. So it's a quicker, the chorus is a quicker change between the 2 chords, but it's pretty simple because it just kind of hangs out there in those 2 chords. All right, so where we have something else new happening here. There's a variation at the end of a pre-chorus later in the song. At the 4-minute and 38-second mark, they basically, when it gets to the F major 7 here, it does it like this. So it's just basically strumming the F major 7, and then it goes to a C major 7. So that's just like a C major chord, regular C major you've been playing, but just pick up your first finger. Now it's that open B string there. And then back to this F major 7. All right, and then it goes back through the chorus once again. Now the end of the song, simple 3 chords, E, G, C. I'm sorry, E minor, G, and C. We saw that earlier in the song. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's a great tune. Happy birthday, Paul McCartney. I'll see you guys soon for guitarlessons365.com.